Welcome back, adventurers. I'm GM Coblin, and today we're diving into a topic that's often mentioned on our character sheets, but kind of overlooked, really. It could be incredibly important, not just for the function and mechanical aspects of your character, but it also should be vital to how you role play your PC. So grab your dice and settle in, and we will explore how age impacts your character's backstory, abilities, and hopefully your gameplay. So, I've seen a few things about this pop up recently, and I think that for the most part, it is due to two animes that have come out recently. One of them being Frenrin Beyond Journey's End, and the other one being Delicious in Dungeon. Both of which having main characters that either longer lived than the rest of their party or very much so when it comes to everyone around them. Now, hopefully I don't give you any spoilers, but I'm going to talk about the age aspect and how it's integral when it comes to these two animes and why it should be integral to our characters when we create them. So in Frenrin Beyond Journey's End, it really picks up after you have a party that's defeated their main boss. They've gone on their big adventure, they come back, and it is what happens to this adventuring party when they, quote unquote, should be retiring. One of the characters is an elf, and this character is, as you find out later on, already about 1,000 years old. And they have this event, and she goes off to leave her dear friends after this adventure. And she mentions that, oh, well, I'll be back in 50 years. A lot of this anime revolves around the fact of her getting grasps on time and how it affects everyone else. Because to her, that amount of time, that 50 years, unknown how long they can actually live in this universe, isn't very much for her. In fact, at one point, instead of performing a task for a dear ailing friend and becoming a teacher, she's asked to perform a bookkeeping act, decipher a tome, tricking her to spending 5 years or so to do this one task and inevitably doing this other task for her friend, not realizing that this other character is going to mature to the point that it will be far more acceptable for her to have her as an apprentice, all while doing a little bit of book work. The character is constantly talking about spending years instead of days or weeks to do something which her human party finds exhausting. And of course, is not something that they as humans are quite used to. Same thing goes with Delicious in Dungeon. There is a aspect between the characters where they are constantly either referring to one or the other as, sir, or they make it a point to show that there is this disparity in their age, even though all of them are adults in their own right, in their own society. It is how they view these other races and characters because their age is not to their extent, whether it is babying them or calling everyone a youngin and making sure that they eat appropriate meals because they think they need to have this fatherly role. age is something that we generally all put on our character sheets, either because it is just a number that we grabbed out of the air, or it's the minimum required age for adventuring in that race that we have in the book. And so a lot of people will do that because I'm young, I'm going in, or they want to be the aged wizard that is super old. But as you see, with age in different universes, it affects how the characters and how the races function. In most fantasy worlds, humans have fairly short lives, and you have some that have far more violent and shorter lives, orcs in some cases, goblins. But humans are ambitious and they're constantly on the move and constantly improving. So they make the most out of every second of their life, constantly doing these things that other races might spend decades just performing an art. You might take an elf like in Tolkien who are actually ageless. They can live forever and they could spend centuries getting good at an art, taking their time. It is mentioned that it is in multiple fantasies that elves, because they have such long lifespans, take a long time to come to decisions and to get them to move, to act, to go to war. Meanwhile, humans are much more adventurous and much more apt to go out and try and change the world because their lives are so short. When you create your character, whatever it is, whether you're going to be a dwarf, a human, or something, the age can actually be something that you can use to your advantage in role playing. You can be the young elf of 50 or 60 years, and you still act very much like a child. Another reason for people to start off as a younger age on a character when you play something like Pathfinder is going to be because the older ages traditionally have a penalty and a bonus for whatever you're playing. Not all GMs allow you to do this at the start. They will consider this as part of your character creation. What this means is if you're going to play a wizard character and say you're an elf or a human, you starting at, say, middle age so that you can get that extra one intelligence or whatever is going to probably be counted in by your GM. Most of the time, I use these only when I am dealing with a monster or effect that I use that ages my PCs. But as you can see, they're broken into middle age, old, and venerable. The bonus to your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma is only going to increase to a 1, while your strength, dexterity, and con decreases from 1, 2, and 3, respectively, for middle age, old, and venerable. Like I said, most people don't mess with it a whole lot, and they allow the age to just affect the RP aspect of the character or to go along with their story. Possibly if a PC runs from one campaign to the next, maybe some time has passed, you have a elf, dwarf, or human character that has aged and they want to see what they would be like or live them in another campaign later on in life. Like I said, I usually just use it whenever I'm using effects like, sorry guys, a monster that actually drains the years from you. And as you can see, it is specific for the life expectancy for that race. So human 35, you're looking at middle age. Middle aged. But outside of that, you're looking at age mostly as a RP aspect. And once again, a good thing to remember whenever you're playing as a character, the age difference, like I said in some of the animes that I've listed, and some of the other ones are in books like Tolkien, Forgotten Realms, is you can play that dwarf that thinks of everyone as a young one, a kid that he's got to take care of, a elf that doesn't understand that you're an adult and he treats everyone, because he will live longer than everyone, as a child. Now, I do recommend that you go over this with the other players because it can get old quick, especially with elves. Because I've had multiple people that, even though they play young characters as elves, they want to try and treat everyone like a baby, even though they might have more experience or wisdom than the elf does. But age is just something that I recommend people think about whenever they're playing their characters, because it can add an RPing aspect to their character that will bring more life to it than just stats that are on sheet, more than just your abilities. So you can have more of a history if you're playing an older character. Maybe you've gone through life and you have given up certain things, certain aspects. Maybe you are more cautious because you've been around for a while. So next time you create a character, next game you're in, I recommend playing with the age a little bit. Maybe you'll discover that playing the cautious adventurer that's been around a long time is right for you. Treat it as a tool for your adventuring, for your role playing, not just a number on the sheet. If you like this video, check out my others. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any tips or requests, drop them in the comments below. And until next time, may your crits be epic, your adventures legendary, and your gaming table filled with laughter.